Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. We said earlier today this could be a very exciting next couple of days for the Florida Gators in the transfer portal. In less than 2 hours after we talked about all the visitors taking a look at Gainesville this weekend from the transfer portal, the Florida Gators land a massive commitment in former South Carolina linebacker Grayson Pup Howard. And many of you guys who've been rocking with the fellas for the last year at this point remember us talking about Pup Howard coming out of high school as being a top target for the Florida Gators, one of those special linebackers that when you look at building a linebacker in a lab, what do you want your modern day linebackers to look like? And Pup Howard is kind of that guy. And you put on some weight at South Carolina, up to 6'4", 240 pounds, played a lot for South Carolina as a true freshman. I thought he should have been playing more for South Carolina as a true freshman. This is a massive get for the Florida Gators, and you lose Scooby Williams to the transfer portal. You take a look at what this linebacker group is going to look like for Florida in 2024. You have to be extremely excited, right? A guy like Shemar James, one of the top linebackers in the SEC in my eyes, especially when healthy. You add a guy like Pup Howard, who I think is just scratching the surface of what player he can be for the Florida Gators. And then you look at the 2024 class and land two of my favorite linebackers in Aiden Childs and Miles Graham, who had phenomenal Under Armour All-American games last night. This is a position group that is turning into a strength for the Florida Gators. Want to talk about Pup Howard, what he brings to the Florida Gators. Before we get into it, just want to say thank you to you guys. And 2 hours ago, we highlighted all the visitors for the Florida Gators that will be on campus this weekend. The amount of support you guys continue to show, it's been absolutely amazing. Cannot thank you guys enough. If you all do enjoy the update, you enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you guys rocking with the boys. And without further ado, let's get into Pup Howard. And this is a guy coming out of high school, was one of my favorite linebackers in that 2023 class, and for good reason. Over 180 tackles as a senior in high school. But I want to focus on what kind of player you're getting right now. At 6'4", 240 pounds, he went through that quote-unquote redshirt first year for South Carolina. Florida's getting a much more polished, a much more physically mature Pup Howard than what he would have been coming out of high school. And going back to watching him at South Carolina, he was a guy that many South Carolina fans remember me banging the table for. We got to see more Pup Howard, right? When that defense was struggling, Pup Howard just kind of looked different. And it's rare to see true freshmen step on an SEC football field and look bigger, stronger, faster than most other players around them. That's kind of what Pup Howard looked like. And what you're most excited for is now with a year under his belt at the college football level, having over 250 snaps for South Carolina, coming over to the Florida Gators as kind of a very experienced linebacker that I could see certainly starting right next to Shemar James in 2024, which is kind of a massive get for the Florida Gators. When you look at that linebacker room last year, outside of Shemar James, it wasn't that great. Like a guy like Scooby Williams, and this is something we talked about recapping Florida and what they need to do in the transfer portal, a lot of missed tackles. A guy like Scooby Williams missed 22% of his tackles in 2023, and it was a major problem not only for the Florida Gator linebackers, but that Florida Gator defense as a whole. You look at Pup Howard, 19 tackles on the year, didn't miss one. So again, a small sample size, but a guy that big, physical, can go sideline to sideline, is a sure tackler. Again, 188 tackles at the high school rank. You know this guy can tackle. Really excited about Pup Howard, and more importantly, excited about the fit that he has in Austin Armstrong, because he's a guy that, as big as he is, you can move him around a little bit. 6'4", 240 pounds. He's going to be a presence in the box, but possesses that athleticism to play in space and carry tight ends up the seam and go tackle running backs in the flat, but also a phenomenal blitzer. Had four quarterback hurries on 19 pass rushes for South Carolina in 2023. So we talk about this a lot with the Austin Armstrong defense. You want versatility. You want guys that can do a lot of different things, because Austin Armstrong wants to be aggressive. He wants to give a lot of different looks, a lot of different blitz packages. I could see a guy like Pup Howard being that chess piece in this Florida Gators defense, where you can have him play man coverage against a running back. You can have him carry tight ends, but you can also send him on blitzes, send him off the edge. A lot of different things Pup Howard physically is capable of doing. And that's probably what excites me most about Pup Howard winding up in Gainesville. Now, taking a look at what Florida has done in the transfer portal, we said Florida signing that small class in 2024 is going to get aggressive in the transfer portal. And again, we said it's kind of a blessing in disguise because this Florida Gators team needed experience. And you take a look at what they've done. That's exactly what they're aiming to do. A guy like Chimere Dike, who was Graham Mertz's go-to target during his time at Wisconsin. You look at that Florida Gators wide receiver and saying, we love the guys in there. Eugene Trey Wilson is going to be a stud for Florida, but it's a young group, and you needed some veteran presence. A guy like DK certainly going to provide that. Triquez Bridges coming over from Oregon, can play safety, can play cornerback, 6'3", 200 pounds, physically imposing on the outside, and played a lot of football for the Oregon Ducks. So again, adding to that depth, adding to that experience. And my crown jewel of this Florida class outside of Pup Howard now is a guy in Joey Slackman, who we said you got to get more physical at the point of attack. And Joey Slackman was one of the more sought-after defensive linemen available in the transfer portal. And the Florida Gators able to beat out a plethora of SEC Power 5 schools for the commitment of Joey Slackman. And they also add the San Diego State tackle, who I think could come in and start immediately for the Florida Gators at one of those tackle positions, but at least add a lot of competition and depth to this unit. Billy Napier getting much more aggressive in the transfer portal than he did last year, and I think that's exactly what he needed to do. Let's make no mistake about it. This is year 3 for Billy Napier. He needs to win football games, and he knows that, and he knows where this team needs help, and that is with the experience on both sides of the football. 5 commitments in the transfer portal right now. Earlier this morning, we talked about a ton of visitors for Gainesville, or for the Florida Gators, that will be in Gainesville later this weekend. I have a feeling we're going to see kind of the floodgates open up a little bit for the Florida Gators in the transfer portal. This roster going to get overhauled. It's going to get some injection of talent and experience. Really excited about the Pup Howard commitment. Really excited about the next couple of days and weeks for the Florida Gators in the transfer portal. Can't thank you guys enough for rocking with the boys. Have to hop back on, talk a little Pup Howard, one of my favorite backers that was available in the portal. And we'll talk to y'all later.